Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon Roundtable. Yeah, me, yeah, Jangle. Here to talk about the awesome news that's going on in our space.
Hey, what's up,
How are you doing today?
everybody? I'm good. So Gabe and Andrew aren't with us this evening. They have some pressing matters, but I'm hoping we'll see them again soon, especially whenever we have any macro or political news to talk about. So for today, it's just Chris and I on this fine Thanksgiving Eve for all of our U.S. residents and those who celebrate. Welcome to the live stream. Happy Wednesday. I think we were planning on opening with what we're thankful for, which is very wholesome. Chris, do you have anything in mind?
I did want to get everybody who is celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow, whether you celebrate or not, just put a 1 in the chat. Just want to see where everybody is. But yeah, let's talk about things that we're thankful for. James, let's start with you. What are some of the things that you're thankful for this year? I mean, it's that time of the year, right? Reason for the season.
Yeah, I think turkey's really easy to mess up. You can really easily make turkey too dry, but I'm thankful specifically for turkey liver. I don't know why. It's something about the organs. Maybe I have a mineral deficiency that turkey liver just scratches that itch. I don't know, but I'm thankful for turkey liver is my favorite part of the turkey. And of course, all the viewers who are here, especially the viewers who are here right at the beginning of the stream. So you don't even have to wait to be, 5 minutes in to check it out. Like you're waiting at the launch. You're here for the cold open live. So, thankful for you, super fan, or anybody watching the recording as well. Thankful for every like, every chat engagement, every subscribe, every notification bell that we get. Your attention, your time is the most valuable thing you have, and so it is means the world for you to spend some of that with us here. So, Chris, what about you?
I'm thankful for everybody who is a part of our team here at Beacon. A lot of people you don't see behind the scenes, a lot of our unsung heroes. Thankful for them to help us do what we do here. Thankful for East Denver for becoming the event that kind of brought all of this into perspective and what we do here now. Excited to come back to Denver and at the end of February. Would love for you all to join us there to help celebrate, Beacon. Also, I'm thankful for BTC and ETH for staying somewhat flat and retracing over the last 12 months. My concentrated liquidity bags, which have just been extremely awesome. They thank you specifically. I'm thankful for our community, whether if you're part of our Beacon Mastermind or part of our free group Beat the Banks. Having you all here, joining us every week, joining us on our calls, your support, engagement, and love have made what we do just unbelievably rewarding, fulfilling, and fun. It's not really work when you do what you love for a living, right? What about you? Anything else, Jangle? A couple other things that you're thankful for?
Oh man, yeah. So I've got a few in here. I'll group these two together. Not doing crypto alone. So yeah, that includes our wonderful staff at Beacon, everybody who makes the community possible. I know this live stream and our YouTube channel are just a small part of everything that we do, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So thankful for everybody there. And just, not doing crypto alone. That includes everybody in our mastermind and everybody who's in our community and our industry partners that, help us make sense of this insane market. And the fact that we've made it through another capitulation and bear market cycle, right? Like you never know the bottom, but it's pretty easy, I think, to say with a pretty high degree of confidence that the FTX explosion some months after Luna and Three Arrows Capital, that was the forced liquidations, the true flush out, the Max Payne moment. And there's been some boring times, but if you're really paying attention and you're really kind of in the weeds of the industry, there's never a a boring time from a builder's perspective. So making it through, the last 18 months or so, and not just me, but everybody who's here with us, right? The people who were first cyclers in 2020 and 2021, who, made it through that period of time and, had some conviction in the industry and saw that, contrary to popular sentiment, the best time to be involved is the boring time, because then you're well positioned for when everybody's FOMOing in. And then very quickly, this may seem crazy, but the federal government, specifically the judicial branch of the federal government, which has really been putting in that work on behalf of, well, not just the crypto industry, but I think freedom in general, but keeping it specific to the crypto industry. I mean, smacking the SEC around because they are trying to enforce regulation for which there is no legal basis granted by Congress for them to do so. So we're currently kind of in a political situation, I think, where we have an executive branch that is, overstepping within certain agencies, specifically, the SEC. And then you have a legislative branch that's just like not really doing their job. They're not really legislating. They're not really setting the rules for the road. And so they're kind of handing over a lot of that in a de facto way, sort of, to the executive branch. And the judicial branch is the kind of bulwark against tyranny, right? They're going to say, hey, you can't just start enforcing things because you want to. There have to be laws passed by elected representatives. And if there aren't laws passed by elected representatives giving you power, then not going to happen. They're the highest court in the land. They're their own branch of the federal government, one of the three branches, and they're the final bulwark against tyranny. And I'm so thankful, because if we did not have the judicial branch of government and that check on the executive branch, then we would be in a world of hurt right now as an industry, way more than we currently are. Because they've been just protecting innovation and protecting the rights of entrepreneurs from getting smacked around by the SEC. And yeah, so very thankful for the judicial branch and for all the criticism America gets, being born in the wealthiest country on the earth and getting to positively impact its future. Got to give a shout out to Coinbase's Stand with Crypto initiative. They make it super easy to figure out which one of your representatives needs to be contacted, when to contact, the IRS or the SEC or anybody who's trying to pass some sort of regulatory thing or instate some sort of regulatory thing. They make it super easy to comment on those things, get your opinion heard. So yeah, I think it's standwithcrypto.org. And that I can take risks with asymmetric upside. So like I have enough to where I can take risks with certain pools of capital, and I can be exposed to this industry and it's all of its volatility without losing too much sleep. That's a privilege that not many on earth have. So I'm very thankful for that. And then the trust of everybody here, everybody watching the stream, all of our clients, all of our community members that tune in, because they trust me, they trust Chris, they trust Beacon. That means the world to us.
Absolutely. I'll wrap up. I just want to thank my family for their support and love. We put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this business, and without our families, our loved ones, for their support, we couldn't do this without them. I do want to shout out technology for making our lives easier with AI. My Cricut machine, which makes all this custom one-of-one merch, and the second brain assistance we're building in the mastermind with our members is going to be awesome. I'm also thankful for video games, Indian food, Korean barbecue, and pro wrestling for being my escape when I'm not a Beacon. And also, I'm thankful for accumulating bags in the bear market, really awesome potential projects that are out there, because, if you don't know, bull markets may make you rich, but bear markets make you wealthy. It's all about that potential, baby. So shout out to Thorchain and Kujira. Moon time. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. We'll go ahead and move on to our first, and thank you for hanging around with us for that. I just want to get to our first big thing to talk about, and that is Binance. So, oops, I need to share my screen. My goodness. But in terms of talking about what happened with Binance, as you know, they came to a settlement with the Department of Justice, $4.3 billion is specifically the amount that they come up with. There's a really interesting press conference yesterday with headed by Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen, along with heads of CFTC, a couple other people, and DOJ head Merrick Garland, the AG, and yeah. So as part of this, that it's more of it's been a years long investigation into Binance for at least the last 4 or 5 years, right? As part of that settlement, they're being fined 4.3 billion for issues with their CEX, money laundering. Xiaopeng Zhang, also known as CZ, Mr. Four, has also resigned as a part of this, and it has ultimately pleaded guilty to these charges. So getting in for 4.3 billion, that's a big number. But Jangle, I guess the interesting thing apart is that they have more than enough money to cover this.
Yeah, so yeah, my quants are telling me that Binance has likely over 30 million in cash or cash equivalents. So while a 4 billion or 30 billion, sorry,
but 30 million,
that wouldn't quite cover it. While a 4 billion fine is not something you want to have to pay, considering Binance's strategy, which has been sort of like jurisdiction hopping and being, first to market on a lot of trading pairs and like financial products as far as centralized exchanges go, and really just pushing the boundaries of what they can get away with in order to be a market leader. That won them a lot of business, and it won them a lot of market share. And the $4 billion, there's truly only a $4 billion cost to that. Like, that's kind of a banging deal. And we saw BNB kind of dump on this news, but then immediately retrace as the markets kind of gain certainty around like, okay, well, all of this FUD around Binance, like, is this how it culminates with a fine that they can likely pay, and then CZ stepping down as CEO into, I don't know what exactly his role will be or how much he's allowed to say or be involved with the company. But it's kind of a banging deal. I can't really give the non-US perspective, but as a US user, and also like somebody who is able to use DeFi, I'm cool with, just using, primarily Coinbase or ideally you would never have to use a centralized exchange to onboard. But I think that this has done a little bit of brand damage for Binance, but they're likely seemingly going to be fined. And I don't know if there's any more enforcement action that'll come after this, but overall, I think it's like kind of bullish, right? It's kind of bullish that if this is really putting a lot of the regulatory concerns behind them and they can move forward from here with a clean slate. But I also think that Coinbase is gaining some market share internationally now. They've gotten a license out of Bermuda for derivatives to offer internationally to non-US retail users. And they've also got a license from the CFTC. Excuse me. They've got a license from the CFTC now to give Bitcoin and ETH options to retail US users. So Coinbase is kind of getting the regulatory clarity and has that sort of trusted brand behind it, whereas Binance has taken a little bit of a hit, but it already has such a lead, and especially like offering international derivatives, which is a huge market, and the cost is like relatively low for them to do that. So yeah, I think that it's I don't know if, I don't hold any BNB. I have no exposure to Binance, but 07 to CZ, and I wish the best for him and for Binance, and hopefully they get a little bit more regulatory certainty around them and can put any pain behind them, and we move forward as an industry.
Yeah, Binance US was really a very small portion of their net worth overall. So them exiting the US market was not a huge hit for them. As you can see here with the BNB chart, that we're always watching out for this 200 and 200, I think 215, I think the level is, that could really start cascading, liquidations. But 200 being the magical number. BNB for the most part has survived pretty well. They have promoted Richard Teng, who is I guess he was head of global markets. He is the new CEO of Binance immediately, and has put out some pretty strong signals out there. Ultimately, outside of Coinbase starting to catch up globally, Binance has been the on ramp of choice for the majority of international people, users of on chain and crypto and DeFi investing. So I don't see that changing. I think we saw the Bittrex is closing down. Didn't put that in there, but ultimately, from a US standpoint, yes, that's a big fine, but it doesn't overall, I think it doesn't really hurt. If anything, it maybe causes more people to kind of head to Binance to check it out, ultimately. So
yeah, I'm curious if anybody is in chat that's like, yeah, I want to go use Binance now. Like, since I have access to DeFi, right? I'm not really a trader, so that's another thing to keep in mind. But like, I don't feel an urge to go to Binance. I don't need to be on Binance. I have other options, right, to get on chain, and then if I want to trade, I can use GMX, Synthetics, DYDX. They're all sort of gains protocol as well. But again, I'm not a trader, so yeah, getting
most
on
people I
board
know don't use Binance for trading anyway. It's hard to tell. All of them look alike in terms of UI. I see a screenshot of what people are using. So, however, one group that is having some issues with not actually the DOJ but the SEC is Kraken, and Kraken is being sued again by the SEC. They were sued in February, and they settled for 30 million, I believe, is the number. But now they're being sued as for failing to register a security exchange, which is pretty typical. But the issue that has come up is actually, and I don't know if it's here, and this is the part that's a little concerning, is that they believe that there's been commingling of customer funds, which have led to bad accounting practices. That is a problem. So ultimately, we mentioned, at least on inside our group, that probably Kraken's in for a little bit of pain. Don't know exactly what's going to happen with that, but I don't know how many people actually use Kraken. I know business users quite a bit use Kraken, so something to kind of keep in mind. I will point out that Jesse Powell, the co-founder of Kraken, is very critical of the US DOJ, calling them, for the most part, extortionists for this move, and is actually talking about other crypto firms looking to move to either, I don't know if that's California or if that's Canada. I'm guessing that's going to be, actually that might be California, because they don't go into effect for that new law until July of 2025. So as we reported here on this show like 3 weeks ago. So that's interesting. But I was assuming this was Canada at first. Right? Wouldn't you think that's Canada? But now that I think about it, it could be California.
Yeah, I think it's California. This is messed up, man. Like, because they settled for $30 million in February. It seems like Coinbase has made the right move, taking the SEC to court instead of just settling with them out of court to get some precedent in on the books, and to basically not get extorted again. Like what Jesse's saying here is, hey, the message is clear. you pay $30 million to the SEC, it buys you about 10 months, and then they're going to come around to extort you again. Lawyers can do a lot with $30 million, but the SEC knows that a real fight will likely cost greater than $100 million and valuable time. If you can't afford it, get your crypto company out of the U.S. war zone. The only company I think in the industry right now that can afford that is Coinbase. They've got billions in cash, and they've tightened up their operating expenses, and they're regaining profitability in the last few quarters despite the lower market volumes. Trying their hand in a San Francisco court, sure. It's tough. Right now, I don't think this is a slight against Kraken, but right now and really for forever, there's no good reason to keep a lot of funds on exchanges. Were they commingling funds? Were there bad accounting practices? Like, probably, I don't know, maybe to some extent. If they look hard enough, they'll find something that you do wrong. And, this industry is still the Wild West. There hasn't been a clear regulatory framework. There aren't clear accounting principles. In TradFi, there's often separation between custodians and exchanges, where in crypto, there's generally not separation between custodians and exchanges. And there are kind of a different set of incentives between exchanges, who are incentivized to drive up volume, and custodians, who are incentivized to not lose money, right? So there's sort of a competing set of incentives when you have commingled custody and exchange functions under kind of one roof. It's not a perfect solution. I hope that Congress is able to give some sort of clarity for companies like Kraken to legally operate in the U.S. so they don't get continually extorted by the SEC.
Yeah, I think you're right on the nose on that. And ultimately, until we get better regulation, better frameworks, this will just continue. So hopefully we get some action inside the legislative branch to at least move something forward to give to keep these companies stateside. I mean, that's essentially what we as crypto investors we do want. We don't want to fall under the purview of government-run CBDCs and things like that. We want these exchanges to thrive. We want businesses to come back to the United States to do business in crypto. And what they're outlining here is definitely things that we don't want to see. Hopefully Kraken can right the ship. They did. They are, of course, appealing this, and they said that the commingling has amounted to no more than Kraken spending fees that it has already earned. So, we'll see where that goes. Hopefully this doesn't hurt them too badly long term. Moving on. If you follow technology at all, big news over the weekend in the form of OpenAI, the parent company behind ChatGPT.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. I know that everybody who's in, the tech world is probably aware of this, and this is a crypto show, so we don't need to spend too much time on it, but we're going to talk about it. Don't worry.
Yeah, so we'll start with the latest development, and then we'll kind of work back to how this kind of works into crypto. So the that meme, the latest. Sam Altman is now going to be returning back to OpenAI as the CEO after being ousted in a board of directors power play. I believe this was on Friday that this happened.
Did they replace the entire board?
I believe, yeah, they've replaced the entire board. Yeah, it's a total F around and find out total moment, right? Obviously the real story as to why all this happened is not completely known. There are some rumors about what's going on, but from the crypto standpoint, Sam Altman is also the co-founder of WorldCoin, the eyeball people. So ultimately, WorldCoin kind of took a hit on the news, but then rebounded because he's going to stay as the chairman at WorldCoin, and he's back as the CEO of OpenAI. So, there is that. Ultimately, sometimes in crypto, narratives can be run by sentiment, so keep that in mind. There's not always. I don't know if this doesn't affect any fundamentals or anything like that, but It's just more about the sentiment.
Oh, WorldCoin fundamentals are absolutely botched and manipulated anyway, and the price really manipulated. Like, it is a extremely low float, like insanely high fully diluted value, absolute shitcoin. So yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, speculate on it, sure, but is anybody like holding WorldCoin as like a core holding that they're willing to, you know, store their wealth long term in? Like, probably not anybody who is sane. But like outside of that, just a high level series of events, because like OpenAI, outside of WorldCoin, like I think WorldCoin is somewhat interesting, right? But you know, in the idea of on-chain identity, interesting, Sybil resistance, interesting, but like, you know, WorldCoin is weird but interesting. OpenAI is probably the most valuable private company in existence, right? And it is probably one of the most influential startups of, you know, the last definitely few years, right? So, or probably like of this decade. So, and it started as a nonprofit. So like there's these non-paid board members, a lot of which are like not necessarily super well credentialed technologists. Like you've got some, but like the majority of them don't seem to be you know, have like built or run like very influential like tech companies or brought like real products to market themselves in a meaningful way. So you get the board kind of ousting Sam as a CEO, and Sam is like, you know, kind of beloved in the tech industry. Like on Twitter, there was like all these threads and posts coming out about how Sam was, you know, saved their startup, and was like, it was almost like, you know, all the Sam fanboys came out. A lot of people, you know, he had worked for as president, I believe, of Y Combinator. And so he had helped a lot of startups throughout his career and been a positive influence for a lot of entrepreneurs in tech. So it's like all of the support came pouring out for Sam on the internet, especially after another, you know, key player, Greg, I forget his last name, had
Brockman.
also Brockman, yeah, had resigned. So like there was initially like, okay, the board fired Sam. Did he do something, right? What did he do? The reason they stayed was like a lack of candidness or something. It was super weird. Then Greg resigns, and sentiment very quickly shifted to, okay, Sam probably didn't do anything wrong. Greg seems like a stand-up guy. He seems like a real technologist. Like he's leaving. The board's not giving a good reason why they ousted Sam. Like something is fishy here. And then overnight, there's this giant employee petition basically saying, you know, bring Sam back or I walk. And like almost everybody signs it. It's like 700 out of 750 people in the organization sign this petition. Microsoft then announces that they're hiring Sam Greg to lead some big AI initiative. And, you know, Microsoft has a lot of control over the IP. They have of OpenAI. They have a lot of the funding in the form of like compute credits that they've given to OpenAI. So when you think about it, and then now you have the employee petition as well. So Sam's walking away. You know, and this is kind of the situation over the weekend, maybe on like Sunday or whatever. Sam's walking away. He's getting ousted, but he's got the funding with Microsoft. He's got kind of the IP with Microsoft, and he's got the support of the team. So he's got the people, the money, and the IP, and then no longer has to deal with the board. Like it's looking like he just played absolute Game of Thrones with this whole situation. Now he doesn't have to deal with these, you know, nerds anymore in this whole, you know, nonprofit structure, which really doesn't make a lot of sense because it's like nonprofit owns this for-profit entity. Like, what the heck? So it's like, it looks like a humongous dub, right? And then now it looks like they've struck some sort of deal because basically now Sam and Greg and Microsoft, they have all the leverage is saying, hey, we'll come back and we'll do this under OpenAI, but all you people are out, right? We're new board, right? New board. Everybody who did this is gone. And that's where it looks like we are now. You know, pretty much the entire board's been replaced, totally backfired on, you know, the group that tried to initiate this. And I think this blockmates comment right under here really sums it up very well. Like, what a crazy turn of events. And not like this sort of thing doesn't happen with startups and you have little coup d'etats every now and then, but like something of this scale and, something that a company like Microsoft has poured so many resources into, and then they basically don't figure out this is happening until I think 1 minute before the press release. Absolutely nuts. I don't know how this affects WorldCoin. I don't think it does affect WorldCoin. Honestly, WorldCoin's kind of cringe to me. Maybe I need to be WorldCoin pilled. Send me over any WorldCoin, shills. Feel free to send me over anything to look at. But yeah, this was like a super entertaining saga for most of the internet, even though I wasn't following most of it live because it was just, it's just too much drama for me. But that's the summary as I gather it.
Yeah, I will say the quote of the day that I found on Twitter was from Isro PR is dead. He wrote, and I thought it was on this post, he must have deleted it, but it said the lengths this man will go to not use Microsoft Teams. That popped to me pretty good.
That's hilarious. There's a question in chat. Sir just left curve and bid. Perhaps, yeah. So I guess. But yeah, maybe I'm mid curving the WorldCoin thesis for sure. But I do that often. Why was he fired in the first place? So like nobody really knows for sure. It seems like there's kind of two possible explanations. Explanation one is that it's just a like pure power grab. Like Sam wasn't, compliant with the board's wishes. They were getting tired of dealing with him, so they wanted to replace him with somebody they could control better. Like perhaps that's the pessimistic take. The more optimistic take is there's this concept of accelerationism and de-accelerationism. And they're kind of the distillations of the ideologies around AI risk management. And so some people believe, the accelerationists believe, that AI has such a positive impact on humanity that every moment we're not rapidly advancing AI progress, it's a humongous cost on the human species, right? Because we need to advance this technology as fast as possible. Once it can start improving itself, like we will generate infinite amounts of wealth and prosperity for humanity. Like that needs to be the mission, right? Accelerate as fast as possible. The opposite, and this is a spectrum, the opposite end of the spectrum all the way would be decelerationism, where AI is a humongous risk. It is an existential risk to humanity. If it gets to the point where it can improve itself, it like more than any virus, more than any war, like AI poses the most existential threat to humanity. So we should have an abundance of caution and basically only move as fast as we need to so that other companies that don't have our decelerationist values don't get ahead of us, right? So these are the two extreme views of accelerationism versus deaccelerationism in the AI debate. And some might argue that Sam aligns more close to the accelerationist end of the spectrum, and certain members of the board might align closer to the de-accelerationist because OpenAI is, originally a nonprofit, and I think part of their mandate does involve building AI safely. So you could argue that the board actually would be within their rights to oust an overly accelerationist CEO as part of the mandate of OpenAI and their mandate towards AI safety. So a lot of people speculate that is the reason. The truth, probably, if I had to guess, is somewhere in the middle, right, of those two thoughts. But yeah, I mean, none of it matters. I guess you could just left curve and bid WorldCoin, I suppose, and then if AI kills us all, then at least we left curve bid WorldCoin. And if AI doesn't kill us all, then we'll all be rich anyway because we'll have artificial intelligence that can improve itself, likely pumping our bags in some sort of way.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess we'll see what comes of this. It could have been just a huge marketing stunt just to replace the board. Who knows?
Oh, it's badass that the board that ousted Sam, like, over less than a week's time, like, all just got wrecked like that. I mean, that's like, I was listening to a podcast about this, and it's like, imagine like playing a very like thoughtful game of chess, and then you look up and your opponent's just got a Glock to your face. I mean, like, he just totally outmaneuvered, and ended up, this ended up being a catalyst for likely getting an outcome that was much more aligned with the views of Sam and Greg. And also, like, how badass is it that, you have, a ride or die like this. What is it? Greg Brock. What's his last name again?
Greg Brockman, co-founder and
Brockman.
president.
Like, that is like a real sort of founder, co-founder relationship there. Like, Greg Brockman didn't really even hesitate. He's like, "Oh, Sam's gone. Okay, I'm out." Like, that's gangster, dude. And it really did kind of turn the tide in the sentiment to where it was like, "Oh, what did Sam do? Did he like do something like in his personal life that was bad?" It's like, what's going on? Is there a reason for this? And then when Greg resigned, it was like, oh no, there's not a good reason for it. Like, it's either a power grab. It's like most likely a power grab is kind of what the sentiment was at that point in time. And then the employee petition comes out and everything shifts big time. So Greg's a real one. And yeah, crazy turn of events.
Yeah, to address what Dave mentioned in chat. I mean, yeah, there is a chance that they have actually touched a breakthrough in artificial general intelligence. So that's another theory as to why there is this drama. And just thinking, had they gone through this, they brought in Emmett Shear, the ex-CEO of Twitch, to be the interim CTO. Imagine if Greg and Sam started this new advanced AI division at Microsoft with this new breakthrough. That would have been interesting if that's really what the true case could be. But like I said, we'll find out. I mean, it could have been a crazy week in terms of tech. So
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning for those who don't know the backstory. Like, Elon Musk is, he was involved very early on in OpenAI because Elon Musk is kind of, I guess you could argue, like, more decelerationist. Like, he views AI as, at least from the statements I've heard him make, as a potential significant existential threat to humanity, if not done responsibly. And so I know he had kind of a breakup and a shift from Google's Bard, and what was their DeepMind or whatever they were building, and then kind of got aligned with OpenAI. And then when OpenAI was a nonprofit with the express goal of AI safety as part of their mandate, and then over time had like a falling out with OpenAI because I think primarily the shift from a nonprofit to like an entity within the nonprofit that is a for-profit entity, and then also maybe views on acceleration versus decelerationism. So this is like there's a lot of gigabrains in the tech industry who are kind of like all around this. Like, it does seem like this is a debate that some of the world's leading technologists are having, where the stakes are quite high. I mean, it is like, on one side of the equation, basically like infinite wealth creation by like an artificial intelligence that can improve itself, and then like it is off to the races on like all of the engineering and scientific advancements that can be made once AI can improve itself. Like, infinite wealth creation is possible, and then on the other side of the equation, like the destruction of the human species. So it's like this small handful of people that really understand this on a deep level are having this intense debate where it feels like the future of the world is kind of in the balance, and they're playing like Game of Thrones with the legal entities that are actually like driving the future in this regard. So you can't make a story better than this. Honestly, it's great for podcasters. Excellent content.
It beats the Michael Eggeroff stuff, that's for sure.
Well, that was pretty cool too. But yeah,
That was pretty cool.
This is on a different level. This is dare I say, this is juicier than SBF. Court proceedings. This is really
This is true.
the stuff.
This is the stuff. Moving back to DeFi. So it looks like there's a proposal on Aave governance to onboard CRVUSD as an asset for collateral. They already have their own stablecoin, which is GHO. So, Jangle, if you want to talk about this relationship and what they're planning on, what's the goal of getting CRVUSD as a collateral here on
Yeah.
Aave?
First off, killer transition. I did not realize that's the transition you were making with that. I mean, that was just an absolute rock star transition. Can I get some likes on the stream for that excellent moderation? All right. Appreciate it. So basically, yeah, the CRVUSD stablecoin continuing to grow. At its up about 38%, 40% in supply on the 30-day. And it is the 12th largest stable coin by market cap from Curve. And it is at about 156 million in supply. So continuing to grow. And it is, basically like any stable coin, there needs to be demand to mint it. Any collateralized debt position type stable coin, there needs to be some sort of demand to mint it and some sort of demand to hold it. And then the more places you can put that stable coin, kind of the better, right? So if you put that on liquidity pools, on Curve, that gives you yield, then you can attract basically supply there, which can help maintain peg stability. Being able to put it on Aave is just another potential place you could put that stable coin and give some utility to that stable coin, which will support a larger and larger market cap. There's also a Curve proposal recently, I believe it passed, but I'd have to double check, to pay out VECRV holders with CRVUSD instead of 3 Curve, which is the tethered DAI USDC LP position. So they're basically, Curve is trying to find places to add utility to CRVUSD to increase the demand to hold CRVUSD without having to increase incentives just to the Curve liquidity pools and spend CRV emissions in order to do that. And then Aave obviously wants more collateral. They have to adjust the risk parameters for that collateral. That has been somewhat of an issue in the past. But yeah, I think it's exciting. CRVUSD has, I think, a unique mechanism in terms of its liquidation mechanism, which gives a cool, and it accepts staked ETH and WBTC as well as collateral. So like there's cool reasons to mint it. So like I think that supply, especially as prices go up and demand for leverage increases on chain, I think they've kind of solved the supply side of things. Like people want to mint it, but then if more people want to mint it than want to hold it, then it'll go below peg, right? There'll be more supply coming online than there is demand to hold it. So you've got to come up with that demand side. And so being able to use it as collateral on Aave is like one way to achieve that.
Yeah, and I'll drop a little bit of alpha. If you're looking for a place to farm CRVUSD, you can do it on Pendle. They've got some great rates right now, especially with ARB incentives or PenPy, one of the two. Another story that's interesting, Jangle, and you know more about this than I do. I just saw this just the other day. This is about DYDX. They've been hit with a little bit of market manipulation here on a Yearn Finance vault.
Yeah, have they done a full post-mortem on this? Yeah, basically,
Kind of.
it looks like there was some market manipulation on the Wi-Fi token, and there wasn't enough, I guess, liquidity to support the amount of open interest, and it resulted in a net loss for the protocol. They do have an insurance fund. I think some of that is denominated in the DYDX token. perhaps. I don't know. There might be some USDC and ETH in there as well. But yeah, I think this is interesting and just like an opportunity to talk about insurance funds on platforms and like market manipulation and, ideally in a truly decentralized protocol that's well built. There's no market manipulation. And if there is, it's like not exploiting LPs basically. But there should always be insurance funds, I think, in these derivatives exchanges to take some of the trading fees generated, put them aside, denominated in ETH or denominated in USDC or something like that, so that as the protocol grows, the insurance fund also grows, and you don't just have that sitting in like DYDX tokens or the native tokens, because when some sort of shortfall occurs, that's already a bad look for the protocol. You're already going to have some sell pressure based off that alone, most likely. And then if you double up on that with, liquidating a native token for insurance, there can be, risks there, especially when you consider DYDX V4 and the fact that DYDX is an app chain that has, the native token as its like network security token as well, right? So the price of DYDX becomes then, intertwined, right, with the security of the actual execution environment itself. So, it's maybe worth looking exactly into what the DYDX insurance fund is made out of. They say there's 13.5 million in there. If I was an LP or user of DYDX, I'd make sure that that's denominated in things other than the DYDX token. It's an interesting event. I think they'll likely recover. DYDX is like leading the on-chain derivative space, but they've still got a lot of work to do, and that's kind of especially when you're playing around with the token in your insurance fund, and that same token is responsible for network security. Like, these are the type of long tail events you have to think about. So I think that the team has learned a lot from this. It is an interesting thing to look into, and yeah, those are my main takeaways.
Thank you, sir. Moving on. For anybody who has been following airdrops, we talked about Celestia airdrop quite a few times over the last couple months. We'll assume it's Pith, could be Pith, network, a very long-standing infrastructure network, specifically on the Cosmos and Solana side. They've recently been providing off-chain Oracle data to specific perp dexes, such as Vela, HMX, and Buffer on Arbitrum. So they do have a token airdrop going that went live on Monday. So if you were able to claim, you can go to, I think it's airdrop.pith.network to see if you can claim, and it's all about activity, really, and if you're a Discord member. But if you've gotten that airdrop, please, in the comments, let us know how your experience has been. Obviously, it's a little bit of a tricky one because it's all across multiple ecosystems of blockchains. So there are multiple wallets you can actually try and claim with, such as Backpack, Phantom, MetaMask, and a couple others that are out there. So, because I think they also do Aptos, Sui, and Osmosis. So if you have a Kepler wallet, that's also out there as well. But yeah, let us know how that worked out for you. Moving on to another airdrop that's coming out soon. It's through a new, I guess you could say that's not an L2, Blast from Paradigm Capital and the Standard Crypto. $20 million raised by Blur, the NFT marketplace, to get this here. They do native ETH staking to help with fees. If you want to check it out, I'll put this link to the tweet in the chat. You can see if you qualify.
Yeah, it's really interesting farming opportunity. I think there's a lock on funds bridged until February 2024. Yeah. So the high level here is what's your definition of an L2? Right now, I think by most standards, like this is not considered an L2 in its current state, right? Like maybe they have aspirations of being an L2, but don't want to get into the, fuddy, ETH maxi, like cybersecurity, buzzkill zone. Just gotta say it, right? But there's a bridge, right? There's a contract you can engage with where they take those funds, you bridge over ETH, Tether, DAI, whatever. They put the stable coins in SDAI to get the DAI savings rate. They put the ETH in Lido to get the ETH yield. And you basically farm that, and maybe you get some points for potential airdrop. So the idea is that this L2 will have native yield. All of the stable coins will be collecting the DAI savings rate. All of the ETH will be collecting the ETH staking yield through Lido, the premier staking provider. Biggest winners in my eyes, obviously Maker, obviously Lido. Pretty cool. Definitely not as trustless as staying on Ethereum L1 and holding spot ETH, but don't need to go into all the risks of Maker, all the risks of Lido, or all of the nuances of those protocols in this conversation. It seems like a pretty plus EV farm, but there are certainly security concerns. Paradigm is a major venture capital fund. They specialize in crypto and Web3 stuff, so it's probably pretty safe. Relatively speaking, not financial advice, but very likely a plus EV farm to engage with, in my eyes.
I'm looking at the quote unquote investors along with Blur who brought in money. Andrew Kang is there. Hasu is there. Fubar is there. Quite a few others. Gaines. Gainesy's in there. Oh, here we go.
Oh man, I hope Gainesy's back. I hope his sports betting has been going well. I really
this is the ultimate sports bet.
He's just such an unabashedly degenerate. It's just funny. I just like him. He's one of my favorite CT.
He's very transparent about his degeneracy. You can follow along with him if you're ever curious. He's interesting. So February 24th is when mainnet goes live. Redemption for what the blast points will give you is also it's not until May with blast points, but the more you bridge, the more you get, the more you invite through referral codes, the more you get. If you're a Blur token holder, you also get blast points as well. So feel free to check it out. I've already so if you go and you can claim the airdrop now. I've done this. You have 7 days to bridge funds from mainnet over to blast. So I did do a little bit of that, and that's that. I'll see you in February. So let us know if that works out for you. Something that's worked out really well for Argentina, I suppose, if you're a pro crypto person, is that they've elected Javier Milei as their new president. Very interesting reformist libertarian candidate, if you want to classify him as that. He is an Austrian economist. He is going to be really changing the way that Argentina works. He wants to eliminate the central bank. He wants to substantially reform the government, get rid of a ton of government agencies, and keep it very simple. The other part that's interesting is that he is a pro-Bitcoin leader, possibly the second after El Salvador. So he does have some advisors with him that specifically are pro-Bitcoin, specifically as a hedge against inflation, which unfortunately Argentina has seen quite a bit of in their time over the last couple of years. They are the printer for the Argentinian peso goes really quickly out that way. So, Jangle, any thoughts on President Milei taking office and what could happen here?
Just from following along with this election a little bit on Twitter and some reports on there, it seems like Milei is an actual economist who understands that inflation doesn't come from greedy corporations as much as it comes from the debasement of the currency. which sounds like incredibly obvious to everybody who's in crypto. That's like understanding money 101 is, what's the source of inflation? When at the root cause of inflation is increasing the money supply. That's actually not like a very widely understood thing, right? So a lot of people think prices go up because of greed. They don't realize that shortages occur because of a suppression of the or an overflow of demand and the suppression of price, right? Like these basic economic principles, like a lot of people don't get. It seems like Malay gets, and his focus is on reducing the spending of their government and establishing some sort of fair monetary system when they have had decades of inflation and periods of hyperinflation. So it's really cool to see these ideas sort of manifest into political change in some countries that have been struggling with it even more than the U.S. has. And I'm kind of excited to follow along his presidency and see what he's actually able to accomplish in Argentina. And I believe that the focus will likely be on dollarization and then just reducing the overall waste of their government. But it might also result in some pro-crypto policy. Obviously, like stable coins are pretty popular in places with hyperinflation, including Argentina. US dollar cash is fairly popular. So I'm just excited to see it.
Yeah, and check out our YouTube channel. We're going to be releasing a video from our interview with James Glasscock from Reserve Protocol, who they have a big foothold in South America. I do think that if they do handle a little bit of DeFi down that way, that you might see some reserve influence in Argentina. What do you think, Jangle?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, check out that interview. It's coming out very soon on our YouTube channel, and you can learn more about what Reserve Protocol does. Moving on to the last story that we have this week is on USDC, or Circle is announcing a new standard for bridged USDC. As you know, that most Ethereum blockchains, if they're not using native USDC, they're using a wrapped version or a bridged version of USDC, and the value of that can be a little inconsistent depending on where you go. Slippage here and there. Obviously, using a standard bridged USDC with the option to then be upgraded to native USDC that's used by Circle, in things like CCIP or rather CCTP. Yeah, this could be an interesting move. Could be a very interesting move. A little too much centralization, maybe, Jangle? I don't know. I think this is more for the ease of use for customers, as opposed to not having too much fragmented liquidity for assets out there.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure exactly how this will affect everybody on chain, besides just reducing the overall amount of bridged USDC that people have exposure to, which is good. When you're on different chains that might have bridges that get exploited, you want to be, if you're holding USDC, not affected by that. I think it allows wallets to offer an abstracted experience with the greater security assurances for their users. And overall is just probably one of those technological upgrades that it's just an incremental improvement that allows better user experiences for people moving forward. So, yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of USDC out there, specifically bridge. So as we start to see more normalization with native USDC coming from Circle, coming throughout many custodians that they've partnered with across crypto, across multiple blockchains, I'm excited to see more of a standard come up, so that that if you're getting USDC or even USDC, it comes from a standard that is easily redeemable, hopefully 1-to-1 overall. All right. With that said, that's all we have for you this week. I want to thank you all again for joining us today. If you're in the United States, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Anything else you want to add, Jangle?
Hey, yeah, I mean, if you want to join our free group and get plugged in the community, we are doing trainings every Friday here on Beat the Banks. I'll link it in chat. You can check that out, as well as just go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe. And you are here again next week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, where we stream every week for you. Reach out to any of us if you have any questions. Drop a comment and we'll respond directly to you. And we appreciate your time and talk to you soon. 07.
07, beacons up, banks down. Have a good one, guys.